All right, so we've got a stack of articles here all about Banksy.
Oh, yeah.
And the mission is, well, I guess our mission is to try and figure out, just what we can about this mysterious figure and their impact on art and society.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, let's see, we've got excerpts from 3 different articles, each focusing on, a different facet of Banksy, their life, their work, and, all the influence they've had.
Yeah.
So, I think most people listening know Banksy's art, but how much do you really know about the person or, yeah, the people behind the spray can?
Right.
Hmm.
Well, one of these articles, it actually goes pretty deep into Banksy's early days, back in Bristol, England.
Oh, okay.
And specifically their connection to, have you heard of the Dry Bread Z crew?
I haven't, no.
They were really something, really pushing the boundaries of graffiti back in the 90s. I mean, a lot of people point to them as a major influence on Banksy's style, especially that move from freehand graffiti to the iconic stencils that everyone knows.
Oh, interesting. So you're saying that those signature stencils, that wasn't always their thing.
Yeah, because
I always kind of thought that was like, just part of their whole deal from the very beginning.
it's a really common misconception, yeah. The shift actually happened in the late 90s.
Hmm.
And there's this story, it's almost legendary now in the Banksy world, about them hiding from the police under a garbage truck.
Okay.
And it was actually down there that they saw the stenciled serial number on the underside of the truck, and it was like this epiphany.
Wow.
Talk about turning a potential, a brush with the law into artistic inspiration, right?
That's incredible.
It's a good story.
So even beyond the stencils, though, like Banksy's work is just constantly evolved, right?
Mm.
I mean, one of these articles, it traces their journey from those early 2D pieces to like way more elaborate installations and even performance art,
Mm.
And then there was that crude oils exhibit with, with the elephant in the room.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
They're li-
Crude oils is just such a perfect example of Banksy's, their provocative style.
It really is.
I mean, you've got the image of the elephant, right? Which is often a symbol of, grandeur and exoticism, but it's covered in this like garish Victorian style wallpaper, and then it's placed in this formal gallery setting, so right away that's challenging conventions, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But then the real kicker is that Banksy actually released live rats into the gallery space,
Oh, gosh.
turning the whole exhibition into this commentary on how we view and interact with art, and even with living creatures in these very controlled environments.
So definitely pushing boundaries.
For sure.
Yeah, another article talks about, how those unexpected appearances of Banksy's work, often in these really high-profile locations, they create this incredible buzz and media frenzy.
Oh, yeah.
It's like you're playing a game with the art world, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, the unexpected nature of it, sneaking pieces into like these prestigious museums like the Met and Tate Britain.
Right.
It just adds to the mystery and intrigue,
It makes you wonder, like, how they even managed to pull it off.
Yeah.
Infiltrating these institutions that very often, exclude street art.
It's amazing.
So speaking of playing with the art world, we have to, of course, talk about the infamous Banksy effect, right?
Oh, of course.
One of these articles just dives into how their rise to fame has completely transformed the perception and the value of street art.
Absolutely.
It's this fascinating paradox, a countercultural figure becoming a darling of the commercial art world.
It really is. It's a fascinating paradox. Pieces that were once literally seen as vandalism, are now fetching millions at auctions.
It's crazy.
Yeah, and it really prompts a whole debate about whether removing and selling street art is even ethical. It's meant to be part of the urban landscape, a commentary on its environment, right?
Right.
You take it out of that context, and what is it?
That raises such an interesting point about the essence of street art. And another example, this is like this really thought-provoking juxtaposition. It's Banksy's piece on the West Bank barrier.
Oh, yeah.
The image of children playing on this like barren patch of land, but then they discover a hole in the wall, and it reveals this like breathtaking beach scene.
Right.
Such powerful imagery.
It really is. It's a perfect example of how Banksy can use, these really simple visuals to convey like complex emotions and political commentary. And the stark contrast between the children's, harsh reality and this dreamy escape through the hole. It's heartbreaking and thought-provoking at the same time.
It really is, yeah.
It forces us to confront the dissonance between perception and reality,
And it's not always just those large-scale pieces, right? This article also mentions smaller works like One Nation Under CCTV with, that chilling image of a child aiming a package, almost like a missile, under the watchful eye of these surveillance cameras.
Oh, right.
It speaks volumes about the world we live in today.
It does. Banksy's work, it often taps into these anxieties about surveillance and control, yeah? And it's not just about the messages, it's about the way they're delivered. It's the unexpected locations, the wit, the irony. It all contributes to the impact. I mean, it's almost like Banksy is forcing us to confront these like uncomfortable truths, often in a way that makes us laugh at the absurdity of it all.
Right.
Yeah, it's really amazing, isn't it? That ability to make us laugh, but at the same time, really challenge our worldview.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
It's like
Like holding up a mirror.
yeah, like holding up a mirror to society. Yeah, highlighting all those hypocrisies, contradictions.
It's like that piece Game Changer, that one that emerged during the pandemic.
Yeah,
Such a departure from the usual like satire, wouldn't you say?
absolutely.
It felt, I don't know, it felt so heartwarming, so sincere.
It did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the image of a child choosing a nurse doll as their superhero instead of Batman or Spider-Man, I mean.
It perfectly captured the collective sentiment at the time.
It
Right?
did.
Healthcare workers, I mean, they were the true heroes. And Banksy just managed to encapsulate that feeling in a single, a single powerful image.
And then the fact that it sold for millions with all the proceeds going to the NHS
Right.
just adds to the whole story,
It does.
It's almost like they're playing the art market game, but then subverting it at the same time, which, which brings us to Show Me the Monet, another reinterpretation of a classic, but this time,
Yeah.
with a heavy dose of environmental critique.
Yeah, Show Me the Monet is just such a brilliant example of how Banksy can take something so familiar
Right.
and twist it to make a powerful statement, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you've got Monet's, idyllic water lilies, a symbol of like tranquility and natural beauty, but then they're disrupted by the addition of like, discarded shopping carts and traffic cones.
It's such a jarring reminder, such a jarring visual reminder of how consumerism and waste are just like encroaching on the natural world.
Yeah, it's unsettling, but it also makes you kind of chuckle at the same time, especially when you consider like it sold for a small fortune.
Oh, yeah.
So it begs the question, like, are the buyers, are they really absorbing the message, or are they just, caught up in the hype?
Right. It's a valid question, but I wonder if maybe it's not an either,
Mhm.
I mean, the art, it can function on multiple levels, I think, right?
Yeah.
So it can be sparking conversation, raising awareness, even among those who just see it as an investment.
It's interesting to think about how all those different motivations, kind of intersect.
Yeah, for sure.
And you know what? It's not always about these big splashy pieces. Like one of the articles highlighted a work that appeared in Bristol during the pandemic.
No.
A woman sneezing so forcefully
Mm-hmm.
that her dentures, they fly out.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, simple, but so relatable to what literally everyone was experiencing at the time.
Absolutely. And it's a good reminder that Banksy's work, it doesn't always need these grand gestures to really resonate.
Right.
That piece with that touch of humor and that recognition of shared experience, it just perfectly encapsulated a moment in time. And it also speaks to Banksy's, enduring connection to Bristol, their hometown. Even as their art, travels the world,
Yeah.
there's this sense of always circling back to their roots.
So speaking of traveling the world, I mean, we can't really overlook the Waldorf Hotel.
Right.
I mean, building a hotel like right next to the West Bank barrier, I mean, that is a bold statement.
It is. It's a bold statement in itself, isn't it?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that project?
Well, it's certainly provocative.
Yeah, the Waldorf Hotel, I mean, it's a prime example of Banksy's ability to merge, art activism and tourism.
Right.
In a way that's both thought-provoking and controversial. I mean, on the one hand, you've got this quirky, even luxurious hotel attracting tourists and generating revenue, but then on the other hand, it's situated in this, this highly charged political landscape,
Right.
directly confronting visitors with the realities of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict.
And then it's filled with Banksy's art, of course,
Yeah.
but also alongside works by Palestinian artists.
Oh, yeah.
Further amplifying, their voices and perspectives.
Exactly. It highlights Banksy's, I think, complex relationship with tourism. They're critiquing its often, exploitative nature, but then they leverage its power
Right.
to bring attention to important issues.
They almost like they're saying, come for the novelty, but leave with a deeper understanding of the complexities of this situation.
Precisely. And that's what makes Banksy such a compelling figure. They're constantly challenging our assumptions, provoking dialogue, and using their platform to shed light on these social and political injustices.
Yeah, it really is amazing how they manage to weave these complex narratives through their work. The Waldorf Hotel, I mean, that's a perfect example, attracting visitors while simultaneously critiquing the very industry that draws them there.
Right. Right. And that duality, that tension between attraction and critique, it really is, it's woven throughout their whole career.
Yeah.
It even extends to their own anonymity, which has, which has fueled just endless speculation and fascination. I mean, after reviewing all these articles, have you come up with any theories about who Banksy might be?
Oh gosh, I have to say I'm honestly more intrigued by the idea that we may never know for sure. Like, does it even matter? It feels like, the mystery kind of allows the art to stand on its own.
Just see what you mean.
Free from the baggage of personality or celebrity.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. The anonymity, it does allow us to focus on the art itself, the message, the impact.
Yeah.
It prevents the conversation from getting bogged down in speculation about the artist's personal life or motivation.
Right. It keeps the focus on the art's power to challenge and provoke.
Exactly.
And speaking of provocation, we have to talk about the girl with balloon incident.
Oh, yes. Yes.
I mean, the self-destructing artwork at auction, it was genius.
It was brilliant.
Such
a brilliant act of subversion, a commentary on the absurdity of the art market, right? I mean, the piece sells for a fortune, and then poof, it just starts to shred itself right there in the auction house.
Yeah,
it was an instant sensation, a perfect encapsulation of Banksy's ability to manipulate and critique the system.
And then, of course, the shredded piece becomes Love Is in the Bin, and then sells for even more.
Even more later on.
It's almost like they orchestrated the whole thing, tuning destruction into a commodity.
Oh, the irony is just, it's palpable, isn't it?
Yeah.
Banksy, a figure who rose from, the counterculture, playing the art market game on their own terms.
Yeah.
It raises these fascinating questions about the nature of value, authenticity, even the act of destruction itself.
It really is mind-boggling how they managed to, stay ahead of the curve.
I know.
But it's not all meticulously planned spectacles, right?
Right.
Like one of the articles, it brought up the story of the accidental Banksy shredding, where it seems like someone tried to replicate the girl with balloon stunt with their own Banksy print.
Oh no.
Thinking it would increase its value, but instead they completely destroyed it.
Oh, that's a good story.
It's a perfect illustration of how you can't just manufacture the Banksy effect.
You can't. No. There's an inherent authenticity to their work.
Mm-hmm.
A sense of timing, wit, and cultural relevance that can't just be replicated.
It's like trying to capture lightning in a bottle.
Right.
And yet, despite that, Banksy's influence, I mean, it's undeniable, right?
It really is.
Their work has it's penetrated popular culture. It's inspired countless artists. It sparked all these conversations about social and political issues. I mean, it's no longer just about, street art. It's about the power of art to engage with the world around us.
One article I was reading, it even referred to it as the Banksy effect, right? Highlighting how their success has really kind of elevated the entire street art movement.
Right.
Street art is no longer, simply seen as vandalism. It's a recognized art form.
Yeah.
A powerful tool for expression and social commentary.
I mean, that shift in perception is just incredible. I mean, they've challenged the the traditional art world hierarchy,
Uh,
showing that art can exist outside the confines of galleries and museums.
Absolutely.
It can be on the streets, accessible to everyone,
Right.
prompting reflection and conversation in these unexpected places.
And that accessibility is key.
Hmm?
Banksy's art, it speaks to our shared experiences, anxieties, and aspirations. It
Yeah.
uses humor, satire, and this powerful imagery, to confront uncomfortable truths,
Yeah.
encouraging us to think critically about the world around us.
This deep dive it's been truly eye-opening.
It has.
So as we wrap things up here, what's your biggest takeaway from exploring the world of Banksy?
For me, it's the reminder that art can still be a catalyst for change.
Mm.
In a world that's so saturated with information and distractions, I think Banksy's work, it cuts through the noise. It sparks dialogue. It challenges the status quo. It demonstrates that art can, it can make us laugh. It can make us think,
All right.
and maybe even inspire us to act.
Beautifully said.
Yeah.
And if you're listening and you've been captivated by this journey into the world of Banksy, we encourage you to seek out their work in your own city or online. You never know what you might discover. Maybe you'll even be inspired to create some art of your own. After all, as Banksy once said, art should comfort the disturbed and disturb the comfortable. Keep your eyes open, and who knows, you might just stumble upon a Banksy in the wild.